Hey everybody, welcome. I'm here with Jeremy from Red Beans Recording, and we're going to be covering a series of games from the November Game Jam, of which we were participants. I really
Sure
stumbled
were.
on whether I should call us a participant or participants.
We are a participant together.
But yeah, we made a game called Since November, which you can check out as part of the jam, but we're going to go and cover a few of the other participants' contributions, submissions, that's the word I should be using, because these are all games that were made in 1 month for a free visual novel game jam on itch.io, and the only really real rule was just that they had to feature a bear. That's the level of constraint we had, and it was an adventure. It was very fun to commit to. I'd literally just like a week before it started, I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna do that, and then
Yeah.
that just dominated the last month of my life.
You worked your ass off. It was really, really cool to see it all come together so fast, and with a team that was all like really excited to be working on it.
But we're here for End of the Line, which is this one has a big old team. I got a slight bit of lore from it, which is just that like it was a bunch of people that I think are either used to creating or even might be used to making visual novels specifically, but in particular a lot of them are challenging themselves to do something they don't normally do, and the specifics of that is too much to unpack from a distance. But for example, the sprites of this game are made by Kamazul, who was the musician for Before You Depart a year and a half ago. So like there's like some bouncing around of like what roles people are doing and stuff like that. It looked like there might have been like, I don't know if it's, I actually don't see an about page. It looked like there might have been like 6+ people on this one, but
Oh wow.
this will be worth checking out.
Hell
Very
yeah.
good start screen right off the bat.
Music was nice.
Fishing gear, keys, sleeping bag, and pills. Everything was accounted for. A wave of heat blasted me as I stepped out of the car. Mirages swirled above the faded asphalt like oil on water. Oh, the background's actually wobbling. That's a
Wow.
trip.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I don't think that kind of... I could be wrong. I don't know if that stuff's even supported by RenPy specifically. It might require, like, adding in plugins and things to customize, and... Oh, boy. Importing a script into RenPy and adding choices and stuff, that's easy. Doing anything weird with the visuals is like a massive increase in work.
I did see like on some of these that they were like the plugins that they use or the add-ons listed on their game page, so that's pretty cool. I didn't even know there were plugins for RenPy.
Oh yeah, there's particularly I was poking on a bunch that would do weird things with text, but instead I chose to push the limitations of what RenPy was capable of with text that I hadn't seen before, because I did not want to deal with installing that stuff. So I was like, I'll just see what I can pull off.
Nice.
But there's a lot you can do. You can, because people keep working with this. RenPy is a very good program because it's so laser focused on exactly one job that it makes it incredibly simple to do that job. But it is like an old simple thing that only has really specific capabilities. So people have just been Frankensteining it for like a decade, I imagine, at this point, and putting in
Like
insane things.
If WordPress like stopped developing itself like 5 years ago or 10 years ago, but people still like wanted to use it.
Yeah. Let's see. Oop. A real shame that I'd be spending my final holiday out here without snow. I carried my luggage towards the rickety old shack off the shore of the old Sawmill Lake. Ancient thing. A miracle was still standing. I doubt it'd last another decade or so like this. I looked over to the fading building as I got closer. It was unrecognizable. Not a speck of paint remained on the arid wooden frame. But there was no mistaking it. I had hoped seeing it, even in such a paltry state, would elicit some spark of emotion. Nothing. As usual. It's just another building. Audio.
Nice.
I set my luggage down at the entrance, the floorboards straining beneath the weight, before I turned to the door. It looked as though I could tap the panel and the whole thing would come crumbling down. I traced a claw over the handle. rusted beyond repair at this point. Should be in a livable condition. Probably, though it came at a pretty low price, even for a mere weekend rental. Whatever. I gripped the knob and twisted. Hello, copious bulge. Sorry.
Yeah. It's like, hello.
Goodbye, text box, and hello, mister. The door opens calmly, only for the sound of a roaring snowstorm to enter.
Surprised there wasn't like a crack in the text box with that thing sticking out that far.
That's what the H button is for. You can't hide from me. You can't hide from me. Excellent use of thickened blacks to further highlight the shadows.
The play of light and shadow is truly well done.
Canvas was actually good. This was actually a really good sprite. Look at this. It's really detailed. I have no idea how to structure faces. It's terrifying to get that specific.
I like his snoot. He's got a good nose.
Yep.
I go bar nose.
Hey, Robin. You might want to get the stove turned on because we're gonna be having Hi.
We have to close the fucking door, Arthur.
Bolt check. Yep. Oh, shit. My bad.
Getting snow all over the damn place.
The Arctic fox grumbled while brushing fallen specks of snow into the corner with his tail. Sorry, hon. Kinda came out of nowhere this time. Robin sighed.
I really wanted that lake trout. Fine, I'll get the prepackaged crap out.
Storm's gonna last well through tomorrow, I imagine. Lake is teeming, though. The fish aren't going anywhere. Having swept most of the snow out of the way, the fox returned to the hearth, where he had been settling about kindling a flame.
Is that a Dark Souls reference?
They can respawn now. They can respawn here. Here, save point. There we go. Alright. Once the fire sparks to life and embers took, he walked over to our supplies, pulling a few sealed bags out.
What are you in the mood for?
Anything's fine.
Anything's not an answer.
Just give me the smoked salmon, I guess, or,
You guess?
Wait, let me think.
3 seconds.
Do you want an answer, or do you want brevity? Wait, no. No.
3.
You didn't pick up any tilapia at the supermarket, did you?
2.
Oh my god.
1. Time's up. Getting salmon.
Oh, fine. Robin smirked as he approached me, placing a tender kiss on my cheek.
Ouch. It's fine. I expected as much. Tilapia makes you gassy anyways. No.
Under attack.
Come on, sit.
I rolled my eyes, putting my fishing gear away to plop myself on the sofa as Robin set to work getting dinner ready. Hello.
Do we get a Dune art style?
I wonder if the CGs are done by a different artist?
I like this style too. It's like...
It's the same style as the
This is
background,
more
so it might be the
realistic.
background artist.
Oh.
Because the background didn't change.
Right.
And it seems to match. As much as you can guess, styles match.
Right.
I think it does,
Yeah,
yeah.
like the way that the shading, sort of blocky, kind of like more almost graphic design, cartoony style.
Yeah. I loved watching him cook. Let him cook. The master of his domain. It was like watching a dance as he prepared everything. Yay!
Aw.
Man. That's just so cozy.
It is.
Satisfied, he left the stove to warm and moved over towards me, throwing himself over my legs and staring upwards. He looked like a little fox kit whenever he did this, flicking his tail as he lay there.
Aw. Okay, if I get cozy?
I nodded, and Robin happily leaned close to me, curling his bushy tail around my leg.
You warm up fast.
The fur's thick for a reason, Rob. 2 layers. I give him a smirk.
Yeah, too bad all that fur makes it a bitch to clean up the bed at home.
You want a warm bear or not?
Key trade-off. I suppose I'll settle for a warm.
Thought you would.
Is it okay if I lean in closer?
It's fine, Rob. You don't need to ask.
Just making sure.
Robin nuzzled his head close to my neck, a satisfied purring noise humming from his chest.
Hold on. What? Do foxes purr? Are we purring?
I don't know.
It's just...
A lot of furries like to purr. There's also a lot of behavioral and anatomical decisions that like to be shared across all furries that are from dog characters.
Absolutely right. You're absolutely right. We'll just take the best from each type of animal and stick it in whatever container that we want, basically.
It's actually hard to find furries that aren't hybrids, like stealth hybrids, besides the human part.
Right. You been okay, big guy?
Fine, I guess.
You guess? What's up?
I'm still thinking about that article from yesterday.
Coral one? Oh my god, it's an Armored Core reference.
This is quickly turning into the meme where people just circle unrelated things and call it, like, is this Ad Astra? Tide Pods? I didn't say anything. Robin placed a paw on the back of my neck, massaging it softly, reassuringly. I know, it's stupid.
I told you not to read that shit, Art.
I know. Robin sighed.
Oh, Arthur. You took your meds this morning, yeah?
I wonder if he's talking about coral bleaching. Like, it's like just the anxieties about the death of the world, basically, and all the things that we're doing. Yeah. Climate changey type stuff. As opposed
seems
to, like,
likely.
The coral uprising.
There was a mention of, like, no snow, hoping that he had snow when we first started, when he pulled up to the cabin.
Mm-hmm.
So, a little bit of climate anxiety. You took your meds this morning, yeah?
I nodded.
That's good.
He traced his tender paws down my neck, the tips of his whiskers tickling my face.
Well, tell me what's up. I'll listen.
I looked at him. His eyes were round as dinner plates. His ears perked attentively. It's scary, what's happening. And I can't do, well, anything about it. Rob, have you ever considered this might legitimately be the last snowstorm we'll ever see? I mean, this is the first one I've seen in quite a while. I wasn't sure we'd ever get another one. And, like, what happens then? What happens after? When there's no snow and this place just...
Hey. Slowly. One question at a time. Just one.
Yeah. I'm just wondering if we'll be alright. If, everything will be okay. If we'll be okay. We'll be okay, right, Rob?
I promise you that, Arthur. You know I can't.
Oh, it's doing a thing.
Oh, wow. It is doing a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm back.
That is a trip. Okay,
Becomes
yeah, so
static.
Robin's on a separate layer from the TV static. There's a separation here.
He's got like the wibbly wobbly sort of heat filter on him while Arthur is becoming fading away, sort of.
Do you think this is a representation of a separation that you can feel from mental illness, or do you think that Robin's not alive?
Oh God.
Because I've jumped to different conclusions.
Yeah, I almost don't want it to be the second one. I mean, like, just because it's Arthur that's fading away, not Robin. So you kind of expect it to be the other way if this was a situation in which, Robin wasn't alive. Obviously we've already come across the idea that like there might be a little bit of mental illness going on with the medication stuff. So I'm not sure. I would have expected the effects to kind of go like the other way if it was either one, honestly.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting to unpack because static is often used as a representation of certain mental illnesses, but it's also like a way of representing like artificiality and something being simulated or constructed. Right. So seeing all the VHS or TV signal effects is interesting because that I was questioning its use earlier, and now it's like being emphasized. So it's very much like a choice. And
absolutely.
And Robin's chromatics are aberrating. So you're like,
hang
on a minute. Not the chromatics.
I really do not like it when that happens. Well, I don't worry about it.
I know you don't worry about it, but for me, it's, well, like, you know.
I know. But hey, look at it like this. No matter what's happening with the world right now, no matter what will happen to you or me in the future, we're here, together, just the two of us. And we'll go to bed, and the next morning, we'll wake up. You'll wake up the day after, and the day after.
But what if... Never mind.
Look around us here, right now. Roaring fire, and I have a lovely, or decent dinner soon, and all that time in the world to cuddle up close. Listen, bear.
We're here, now. I pulled Robin closer. As the stove heated, I shut my eyes. Robin would be here with me, and we'd wake up tomorrow. And the next day. And the next day. It's getting stronger.
Uh-oh.
It's getting stronger.
Yeah.
And... Wake up, Leela. Fuck.
Oh.
I propped the fallen door against the wall before moving into the center of the cabin room.
Oh, was that a memory?
I think it was.
Okay.
Because, yeah. Yep. I was trying to tell if it was my memory or yours that was wrong, because you pointed out that he was talking about a lack of snow, and I was like, didn't he close the door to a snowstorm? And I'm like,
oh, right, yeah.
I was trying to remember, did that line happen? Am I losing my mind a little bit? And it's like,
so we have always moved into the future where I hate to say it, but like, was he right? Like about, the being anxious about this whole thing.
And I bet that the VHS effect started the moment we came inside the house. Because there was always specifically that one, what's it called? Not the vertical hold, but the other interference effect was already happening in the more subtle sense at the beginning. Let's see. I can't go that far back. But I can.
You did save it. Yeah.
Just, oops, menu. Where's the title screen button options? I can just quit. You can't stop me. I can just launch the game again.
That's cool. They have a
I don't need
they have a
menu
font
button.
choice for They have a font choice for open dyslexic.
That's a good
A
feature
way
to
that like
have.
it makes it like, super easy to read.
I don't know what fonts are good for dyslexia or not. That's interesting.
I think it's a way to capitalize words to make them like catch your focus in a particular way.
Yeah. So here it was wavy, and then immediately when we go inside, it starts doing this, which makes sense because I was questioning the disparity too, where it seems really cozy and nice in here, and he was specifically describing it as being like a ramshackle mess that looks like it's gonna fall apart.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah,
I'm like,
so he's returning to it after
nice.
like while.
I'm like, I was like, I'm not gonna call out the artist or anything potentially being like slightly out of step or not, so I wasn't gonna question it immediately, because sometimes you just organize a team and stuff doesn't quite line up with what you quite imagined or something, but like, it's like, nope, it was literally an intentional jarring difference, because it was like, yeah, so that it's funny cool. It's funny that it took until that moment to question what was going on there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice that they set it up and kind of like yeah. Snuck it in.
Because even here, there was still this one, I don't know if you can see it, but there's like the thing where it vertically scrolls down the screen. There's one little distortion line that keeps scrolling down on the screen, even on this one. It's very subtle. But even at the most calm, that's still happening, which is like a, I don't know what that specific level of interference is called, but like it's one of the specific weird signal issues that happens on TVs. Anyway. That was interesting done back. There's a whole production here.
Yeah.
Dust particles tickled the back of my throat, forcing me to hack and wheeze.
I can't see the stream anymore, unfortunately. Not sure what happened.
What did I do? Oh, you didn't see anything I was just talking about, because when I closed the game and reopened it, I forgot to stream it to you again.
It's all good.
You're just politely listening to me talk.
No, I mean, when you went back, I was able to see like certain parts of it, like before it closed.
Yeah, I did when I was pointing out the thing going down the screen over again, and you said you couldn't see it. I didn't register it because you can't see anything. But yeah, we're back in our shitty, dusty house and alone. Maybe we'll meet new love, or maybe it'll just be a series of memories. Yeah.
I mean, I gotta say, I completely identify with this sort of dynamic here. I'm usually the anxious one about things in like my relationship. So like, you know, it's really hard to not get like bogged down by, if you pay attention to things and care about things, it's really hard to not get like affected by them personally.
Yeah. And being anxious is stressful because obviously the part where you're anxious, but then there's the additional part where you feel observed being anxious, and then you feel like people are noticing the way you're being anxious and the way that you're kind of like not in control right now, or not like you can have your emotions spiral a bit because you feel noticed about the thing that you're bothered by, and now people are reacting to that, and you think about how people think about that, and you wonder if they're thinking about that all the time, and that just becomes the severance experience of who you are.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a thing that spirals, and it can be really hard to like break through that. I completely understand. I empathize with the bar.
No, it's frustrating. There's days where you wonder if you were better off not expressing any of your thoughts, because you might have been happier being quietly unhappy than knowing that people knew. Oh my God, what you were thinking.
That is so fucking real. That is way too real. Like, I'm feeling this thing. I really, really feel like I need to get it out, but then like you get it out and you're like, oh God, that was not the right thing to do.
No. Welcome to our therapy circle. You're also here, viewer. You're now victim to this. I could see the ghost of that warm little cabin from so long ago, but the crushing reality of its state now, I didn't even know what to make of it. I brushed the debris off the old sofa and threw my sleeping bag down on it, It still seemed sturdy enough, I hoped. Fishing gear, trail mix, fur brush, pills. I set them all to the side. No! Uh-huh. Yep. The sofa creaked as I laid down on it to rest. It had been a long drive to get here, and now that I was actually here, it was not quite what I had been expecting. Only a shell of the cabin I had stayed at with Robin. Robin. Boyfriends are not eternal, but that fake plant in the corner is... That's held up well. I rummaged through my pack and produced a single framed photograph of my belongings. Us two on our honeymoon right here, standing before the lake at sunrise. Years of wear had dulled the colors and crimped the photo's edges, but Robin's smile still shone through. Next to him, a younger bear. A happier bear. A moment between two people who loved each other, surrounded by a breathtaking winterscape. Just looking at it brought that familiar pain in my chest right back to the surface. The day after that, I'd caught the fattest trout I ever had, and Robin had made an amazing dinner for us. I placed the photo atop the hearth, losing myself in the current memories. To the current of memories. After a moment to recuperate, I took out all the fishing gear from my luggage and headed outside. Shit, the door. With a sigh, I put the gear down and took some time to prop the door back up. There. It wouldn't fall again. Hopefully.
If you, don't Kool-Aid Man through it again.
Just walk straight through it. Look at this background.
Yeah. It does a big wavy.
Yeah. Specifically emphasizing the heat wave. The disparity there.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how realistic it is to specifically not have the heat waves do anything about the snow in the mountains or not. I don't know. Climate's confusing.
I have a feeling that might be intentional, just given how focused this is on that, but I'm not 100% sure.
The sun took center stage in the sky, beaming a harsh glare across the lake's surface. Setting my gear down at the start of the pier, I wandered to the edge of the water. One glance at the shriveled lake shore and my heart sank. The place was in an even worse state than I imagined. A long band of silt stretched from the riverbank several feet to where the water lapped against the shore. That old rock I used to balance myself upon was now fully exposed. I shook my head. I knew things were getting bad, but seeing it firsthand, Christ. I guess this does bring into focus the use of the title screen having this screen and then a static-y version of the snowy scene.
Oh yeah, I now that I'm realizing it, now that you mentioned that, excuse me, I guess they were specifically kind of cycling through the different sort of versions of what we're going to be experiencing as well.
Yeah, it's all cohesively put together that way.
Nice.
The rocks made a natural stepladder I could easily hoist myself up on, a wire-thin silver lining. The water itself was choked with Elodia, worse than I'd ever... Elodia? I actually don't know what that word is. Worse than I'd ever seen before. I could barely imagine a carp living down there, much less a lake trout.
It's water weeds. It's like a frilly little water weed, you know?
Whatever, I'll manage. I just need one. With a sigh, I wandered back to the pier, grabbed the gear, and walked over to the edge. I pulled out the tackle box and rod and set to work. You don't say. One spinning rod, simple float rig, roughly 30 inches of leader line, all attached to a rudimentary bait hook. Nothing fancy, but should get the job done for a laker.
Someone on the team knows how to fish.
And those words that I do not.
Mm-hmm.
I know how to watch other people fish. I get really bored really quickly whenever I'm asked to fish, so I literally would rather hang out next to the people who are fishing and not have one.
Didn't you play the fishing game? Like there was that fishing game that was going around, the furry fishing game?
Yeah, we've done like 3 streams of web fishing, but I literally am browsing Blue Sky and chatting the whole time. And I just hit space. I turned on auto-click mode, so I just cast the line, and then when it says, you're catching a fish, I just hold down the mouse button to automatically do the fishing game. Which is barely more than the game asks of you otherwise anyway, but it's literally just like a background visual for a stream that we just hang out. I spend more time customizing my characters over and over again than I do thinking about the fishing. Like, which of my OCs can I make in this game next? My claws threaded lines and weaved knots in an efficient clockwork process. Even years out of practice, I had the whole thing rigged in a minute. It's been years since he was last here. It's like I never stopped in the first place. Now, the fun part. I popped open the lid of a white styrofoam container. Clods of earth, pitch black, dark as tar, and wriggling inside. European nightcrawler.
European nightcrawler.
I saw a flash of red squirming beneath the lump of dirt and pinched it with the tips of my claws. With a deft yank, a juicy, fat one popped right out. Can't just say this to me. We're too bulge adjacent. You already said you pulled out your tackle and rod. We've really...
It's deft with knots as well.
We've corrupted the entire dictionary with references to penises. You can't say words anymore.
No, you can't.
It's not safe. I smiled, hearing Robin squeal whenever I'd pull them out around him. Can't say that either. That's a fox face.
Put that thing back, Art.
Look at how much it's just like, that's just the face that foxes make as they scream at you in public.
Fox, especially Arctic foxes.
Yeah, right before they dive headfirst into the snow. It's one of the funniest visuals ever. Foxes hunting for burrows is so fucking funny. They just jump 3 feet into the air, then dive face first, like torso deep into the snow.
Apparently, they can sense the magnetic fields of, the magnetic fields, and they use that as part of their hunting. That's what I've been reading.
That's insane.
Yeah, I think that should be worked into more fox personas, is that they can sense magnetic fields. Yeah. I'm not really sure what
we need a fox Magneto.
Put that thing back, Art.
Eating a lot of iron lately. Oh, don't be like that, Rob. If you're gonna learn to fish, you gotta get used to things like this.
Okay, I don't want to learn how to fish then. Oh, he's pouting now.
Wait, really? Robin's ears perked when he noticed my expression.
Oh, hey, I'm just kidding.
Phew. Sorry, I just... Never mind, it's just, RSD.
Oh, no!
I thought you genuinely didn't want to hang out with me anymore.
I'm fucking garbage. I can't believe I even tried this. Oh, my fault. My fault. We're getting the static on the back again.
Uh-huh. Both for the snow and for Robin.
Mm-hmm. Still, could you hook that for me? I'd rather not.
Sure thing. This is a pretty juicy one, too. You don't want them too big or else it'll scare the fish away. But the right kind of worm, and you could land some real monsters. I remember my dad land a walleye half my size with one of these. I took out a bait knife and bisected the worm before tossing the unneeded half back into the container. Robin keenly ignored that part. I don't like that either.
Yeah.
Just cut this creature in half and keep the other half. Not even discarding it, but holding on to it for later. Worms are weird.
They are certainly weird.
Once the other half was secured onto the hook, I handed the rod over to Robin.
All right. How do I?
Big yeet. Like this, hun. Is he gonna do the wrap arms around your mate thing and do the whole motion? Yeah.
Yes!
I'm so smart. Prop it up against your waist like so. This isn't a suggestive pose at all. I'm just wrapping arms around my husband to hold a rod.
H real quick. Okay.
Yeah, you just gotta straddle the tail and hold the rod and...
We have left room for Christ between them so far, so this
For now.
great. Now.
That's just the belly zone.
Oh, good point.
Wind the line up just a bit. There. That's good. Now, unlatch the bail and hold the line against your index finger, like this.
And
now you cast. Robin stepped back and slashed the rod through the air, sending the line in a frenzy as it careened in all different directions before landing with a plop into a thicket of reeds.
relatable.
The other half of the worm landed squarely on Robin's muzzle.
Oh no! No, what?
All of his fur stood on end as he swept it off.
Ah! Christ!
The detail of that maw. I know what you are.
Hold on.
What? What is it?
Suspiciously detailed body part.
I'd say
Could
good
it
job, but I almost feel bad being jokingly horny about these scenes, but that is the but that also is like the tone of these scenes, because like that's the juxtaposition, is that it's a deeply sad story, but you are flashing back to their literal honeymoon.
Right.
So it's not we're not that out of step.
Shut up.
Come on, hon. It's part of the experience. Oh, close the bail. Just by the way, here, let me help you. I helped reel the rod back in and assisted him with another cast. This time was better. He actually managed to get the line into the water, as well as the rest of the rod, but at least it was where it needed to be. That's so much worse. That's not better at all. In the end, he relented and let me handle it. All right, watch and learn. Robin stared eagerly. Well, that's a good sign. I stepped back and cast. No! It's mean. No
That was
spark.
a good transition, though.
Yeah, that was good. This game's gonna be such a series of moments of like, wake up, Leela, or where do you think we are? That fucking Dr. Cox graveyard scene. Like, god damn it. No spark. What else should I have I expected? The spark was doused ever since Robin's passing. So now it's explicit. He didn't like break up with him or anything.
Oh.
I remember sitting in this exact spot, sunrise till sunset. Now I could barely sit through 5 minutes of this. Maybe... I kept going back and forth on whether or not I should reel it in, before giving up. Instead, I left it floating, as it took to eyeing the scenery. With so long since I'd last been here, I barely registered how different Sawmill was, and not just the lake. Everything was off. The receded waters, the stench of rotting weeds, and the feverish heat beneath that merciless sun. I gazed over across the lake and towards the mountains in the distance, their once white peaks now patchy like thin fur. And even beyond that, the national park with the glacier only a few miles out had a flood warning very recently. The entire ice pack was hemorrhaging like a bleeding animal. That's bleeding animal is an interesting thing to land on, because like an ice area does almost literally bleed.
Mm-hmm.
Like fucking rivers through the cracks in the asphalt, basically spreading outward and downward and away.
Mm-hmm.
They're like we call them capillaries.
Oh, really?
Is I think we.
I think that's definitely a reference to like some portion. Oh no, I'm thinking tributaries. See, I don't even have good waterway vocabulary.
I'm checking to see if I'm insane or not. Because obviously there are tributary and this capillary action, which is very different.
Right.
I think I made that up. I think it sounded too adjacent to enough things. It's a word I would use to
describe like
overly
how
to overly enforce this metaphor.
and make it work.
I think I thought too much about like tributaries and also like capillary action's a water term for like the way that water can kind of like climb up very small spaces because of surface tension. Anyway. Every little bit of that once wonderful ice structure was vanishing, soon to be gone. Soon the world would lose even more sparkle. And we'd all wake up the next day, and the day after that, joy draining out of the world, like the ice pack losing its form. To live in a world like that, nobody by my side. I wished God would just put me out of my misery already. This is interesting because it might be a theme that was inspired by the jam's origins, which is interesting to look at.
Oh,
because like the what we knew going in is that you should make a game featuring a bear, but specifically what part of the thing that helps people in this jam is that they provide music and they provide sprites. So like actually the music for this jam was provided by Kamazul, the person doing the sprites for this game, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
So everyone could use that music across the entire jam if they wanted, in addition to anything else that's like public domain or Creative Commons. And there's sprites provided just for the jam. In particular, the one that was already public and available when you would have been thinking up your premise was a sprite made by Arcadia Adair that was a polar bear in a jacket. And so immediately you have that starting point. And so this game didn't end up using any of the sprites that were provided for the jam, but it did make their bear a polar bear and like expanded from there. And in particular, there's a relic of that in our story too, because as the list of sprites expanded over time, it was like, okay, I thought I was gonna have to use the art provided by the jam, so I figured, okay, the 4 characters are a beluga whale, a polar bear, a puffin, and an Arctic fox.
That's the 4. Yeah. Like, what is that going to like all come together?
Like, there's a clear Arctic theme there. It's not just a one-off. It's like literally the entire theming of the sprites is Arctic animals. So you can see how that might inspire somebody who's trying to write a story to end up doing a climate change story potentially. Yeah. And adapting overlapping the climate change with the sense of loss you have personally too. Like, that's a very resonant thing to do. But in our story, the goofy thing that had manifested as is that I was like, okay, they're all Arctic animals. I need to come up with a 5th Arctic animal to be the protagonist POV character that we don't really see outside of CGs probably. So our protagonist is an ermine because that's an Arctic animal. But then I had an artist hop on, Fwog jumped on to do the art for the game, and I was like, okay, we're free to make up new OCs now. And I ended up changing basically everyone, but the protagonist is still an ermine because that was that was part of the Arctic theming that got dropped. So it's a relic of that.
Yeah. So it's like it happens. Like it definitely like rubbed off in multiple ways. You
have this narrative connective tissue between these games because of their origins, which is interesting to look at, and all that happens in part because of the fact that these games are made under a time crunch. You're like, oh, let's go, and that time crunch helps them get made at all because you're on such a mission to do this, and you know that this period's going to end, so you just set the time aside to do something creative. But it does mean that you have like gut reactions that stick, and like so you can more overtly trace the origins of thoughts sometimes because of the fact that everyone's just kind of going. It's fun.
Yeah,
to look
you
at.
have to make decisions like kind of quickly, like and sort of not what's the right word? Not second guess yourself when you're under a crunch time. That's what's so wonderful about these like game jam or like for those of us that have like a procrastination fetish, like we need that pressure, like we have to have that like that deadline looming because it helps get rid of some of the paralysis of choice.
Yeah, the type of person that always waits because it needs to be perfect. Like you have to get it right before you can start it and stuff like that.
Right. It's interesting how it seems to have insinuated itself onto the creative process.
Yeah, it's crazy how fast the time passes. Like, I have already spent more time reading feedback about our game than I did writing the first draft of the story and the majority of the writing. Like, that's how quickly the time windows go by. A great tug at the rod snapped me out of my thought spiral.
Same.
What? A bite? Seizing the rod, I pulled it back to snag whatever it had caught onto. Oh, this was a big one. Too big. There's no way a lake trout could get this size. They decide to stock this place with muskie or sturgeon? Or is it a vlog? Is it going to be disappointing? As I yanked the rod back again, the water where the bobber vanished bubbled up and a large figure emerged. I had caught a seal? It's a man! It's an entire man!
Caught this very large man.
Oh, it's that easy, huh?
maybe you'll have better respect for fishing now. Like, this is what happens when you actually like put work.
You hit like journeyman proficiency, and then you just start catching husbands. It's not ready for that.
Also, ow.
That
I don't.
Yeah, maybe it was his. Maybe he caught his undies.
Oh.
Yeah, you're just pulling them down like that. The branding of that lotion bottle. That one suntan lotion.
Oh God, the suntan lotion. Right. Is that even still a reference that people will get? Like,
I don't know.
That's old, right? I feel like
I just celebrate being old at this point.
Okay, fair enough.
Either you sound really stupid because people are like, yes, everyone knows what that is, shut up. Or it's like, what the fuck is he talking about? It's always the binary split and there's no winning. Did you need a break for lunch, or do you want to keep going with this game?
We can keep going. It's fine.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I guess do you want to do his voice, or I guess I can do his voice.
Yeah, because it's probably opposite me.
Hey, I don't have a name for him yet. He's question mark. Hey, I think you snagged me.
The seal made his way towards me. It seemed to...
Oh, you're right.
It seemed the hook had stuck itself into his swim trunks. It's ideal, I guess.
Yeah.
I was able to get a better look at him as he drew closer, gray and mottled white. A leopard seal, no doubt, with no surprise piercings. He gave a toothy, if flustered, smile as he swam to the pier. God, this is embarrassing. I apologized profusely while the seal worked the hooks out of his garment. Leopard seals are the terrifying ones, right?
Yeah, they are very like toothy and kind of spooky.
They're like extremely violent, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
I mean, they're hot, don't get me wrong, but I mean...
Sorry about the surprise, man. Didn't expect anyone to be coming up here at all.
Yeah. A soft voice sounded like a tenor with an almost sing-song buoyancy to it. You know what these words mean. Sorry, I guess I can leave you to yourself here. I'll find another spot.
Oh. No, you don't gotta do that. I was thinking about turning in soon. Anyhow.
He swam under the wooden boards, only to reappear at the shore. Clambering onto the pier, he approached me with an extended hand. They did a shake. There's a lot of puppeteering going on here. I didn't really learn how to do sprites because I ended up not having any. So
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really gotten into the code for this.
Name's Owen, by the way. What's yours?
I'm Arthur.
Nice to meet you, Arthur. You from around here?
I glanced at the cabin just a few yards from the pier and then back at the seal. Owen gave me a nod of understanding.
Ah, just taking a nice weekend out in the wilderness.
Mm-hmm. I shrugged noncommittally as I recast my rod. Owen nodded along as he examined my fishing gear.
Hate to be the bearer of bad news, but ain't much fishing left to do here.
Yeah, he was just looking around.
Yeah, he ate them all.
Yeah, I was about to say, and even climate change. I was just hungry. A single lion seal can scour the entire lake. Or whatever. I don't know.
David Attenborough voice.
Yeah. I can't remember Lion King well enough to actually do the quote. Wait. I don't think that's even a real quote. I think I'm thinking of the stupid, like, Lion King remakes line of, like, a hyena's belly is never full. I think that's what was coming to mind. What's this guy's deal? Getting real close, starting to tick me off. I'm sure it's fine.
Sure. Well, tell me if you get anything. Left my stuff over on the other side. See you later. Seal you later.
As he prepared to jump off the pier, he used my shoulder as support, making me wince. Hey. I jolted away from his touch, feeling gravity's tug as I slid too far and plummeted into the water.
Whoa! Hey, you okay, man?
Ah, fuck. I was too flustered to say anything. I was waterlogged, covered in a tangle of muck and weeds. My only good garments, utterly ruined. That wasn't good planning for the trip.
Yeah.
Owen jumped down and offered a helping hand, but I ignored it and made my way to the shallow water. Shit. I'll get changed. Sorry.
Into what? Into what?
I don't know. I'm gonna come back as a different person. Perfect excuse as any to go back to by myself anyhow.
Okay, all right.
Well, he is distrustful of friendly people and contact and anything. It's rough. It's rough. I wandered back inside, careful not to push too hard on the door. My clothes were off in an instant, and I wrung them out over the toilet, filling the bowl with dirt and bits of plant matter. I rinsed myself and my clothes in the shower before hanging them out to dry in the main room. That's a bear penis!
Yes. It was
We're
worth
in
waiting
Europe.
Or literally, and you are outside of the United States.
There's context clues as to what country this takes place in. The context is penis.
And this is when he's cold, because like there is no fire going.
Yeah, no.
So.
Otherwise it'd be knee length.
Yeah, there's more to come.
Could make it faster with some fire going. Just as I was leaning over the hearth, a knock came at the door. It was a seal's voice again.
Hey, sorry again about that. Mind if I come in for a sec?
It's awkward time for you to walk in, buddy.
Super.
I want to point out that you have to manually program the game to hide the text box at any point. So the choice to have it disappear and reveal as junk was very deliberate.
Well done.
Oh.
Whoa.
Sure.
Oh, I guess you just put that on.
Yeah. As the door started to swing open, I realized my mistake. Wait, slow.
Shit, sorry.
Nah, it's fine. It was already like that. The seal stepped over the fallen door, looking apologetic despite my reassurance.
Here I was trying to apologize for the earlier mishap, too.
Look, it's your new husband. You can make this work. I believe in you. You can do this. Look at those big disarming eyebrows.
Oh,
I like credit card eyebrows on characters. It's a fun design. Just the big ol' honk
is that,
things.
is that the official name?
Well, there's some people. There's at least 2 or 3 artists I've seen who draw their personas with just giant rectangle eyebrows, like literally rectangle eyebrows. So I just started calling them credit cards. I have no idea if that's a thing or not.
Is that? Hold on a second. I'm looking it up real quick. I feel like Amicus has pretty big ass eyebrows. Oh, he has triangle eyebrows. Sorry.
Yeah,
those are different. His
the
Dorito
triangle
eyebrows.
one's pretty common. He's also got like the Avatar: The Last Airbender arrow.
Does yeah.
Yep.
He is actually an airbender. That's what they haven't revealed yet in the whole thing.
That's season 4 lore. Sorry, I got insiders. No, cut this. Cut
Oh
this.
no! Spoiler.
My personal direct line to Howley. No, I've never spoken to Howley.
Here I was trying to. Okay, sorry. Tell you what, I have a toolbox in my car. If you need some help fixing this, hey, well, I'll do that again. Sorry, that was a question. Hey, tell you what, I have a toolbox in my car. If you need some help fixing this,
Sighing, I nodded. Would be nice not to have to sleep with a door that falls off the hinges at the slightest breeze.
be right back.
Subtext. Subtext. He's
This was a
fixing
horror
your
game.
He's fixing your sad, fucked up, abandoned, falling apart house. That's a metaphor for your falling apart life. Because he's
The
gonna,
door. Yeah.
you know. I always wonder how much stuff is intentional and how much stuff is like crafted, because having stuff happening in the setting and in the actions of the characters that parallels like the themes of the narrative is great to do, and people do it on purpose. But also, I do it on accident a lot.
Really?
Yes.
Like other people will like point it out.
Yes. And it happens both in tabletop stuff and in like stuff I've actually written, and it's like it's very interesting to see, and that's part of the fun of doing media analysis is that I find a bunch of those things, and half of it's almost certainly not on purpose. But it's really it's really fun to see the parallels, because that's like it's like the happy accidents that can make the whole narrative stronger and so on. But you never know which ones are fully on purpose. So this is like a tight enough narrative that I would expect that it's very deliberate, that since they set up the dilapidated house and with this stuff that like, oh, this guy's fixing up the house, and it's like it makes sense for that to be paralleling him kind of fixing up this guy's life.
Yeah. I mean, he has to learn to trust again, right? Like he has to,
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but he does have to like accept that there is a future for himself, like either on his own or like with somebody, you know.
Yeah.
Obviously he's in a bad place in terms of like having a reason to kind of like go on at all.
Yeah, so we have a character who was like shying away from somebody, not wanting to talk to him, and flinching at physical touch. Now he's literally laid bare and letting somebody into his abode and stuff like that. Like it's all, that's a lot of stuff that makes things all add up. It's the kind of stuff that's like, it's hard to think about because you have to manifest the scenario from scratch, but it's really, it's the type of stuff that's the difference between narratives that are really like evocative and memorable and feel right. It's like holistically doing something as opposed to just like having one idea for a scene and that being all that plays out. Like having the layers is what makes the story good, and that's really hard to plan and think about it because you have to just you have to come up with like 4 parallel ideas to reinforce the text that's just actually happening.
It's kind of magical because I think like a lot of people who, well, I don't want to be presumptuous, but I think unless you start like getting involved in media analysis, you kind of just experience stories and pick up on these things subconsciously, and they occur, you know, and you know, sometimes you'll have to look stuff up to kind of get the full meaning of something, and I love doing that. But like once you start understanding like how these things are constructed, how they would need to be constructed to have that effect on you, they become kind of magic, like kind of magical things.
You might not have noticed it, but your brain did. To call back to a fucking 15-year-old video at this point. How old is Red Letter Media? Too old. Owen dashed outside, returning after around 15 minutes with the promised toolbox. He was far away. With our combined efforts, we managed to make sure the door was stable enough, at least for the week I'd be spending here. Were you working on this door this whole time in a towel? Maybe not. I was like, that's quite the scene.
There's no way the towel would have stayed on during that whole time.
It'd be an ordeal. Thanks. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. Hope it makes up for the causing. Why did I put a "the" in there? Hope it makes up for causing me to fall in the lake earlier.
I chuckle, nodding.
All right, I guess I'll be heading out then.
With a nod, Owen turned to leave, and I stopped him. Wait. Why did I stop him? Where'd this come from? Fuck. It's not gonna matter tonight anyways. Will you be here tomorrow? Owen looked back with a quizzical expression.
Yeah, I'm around most days. I can bring lunch.
Lunch, huh?
Think we both got the same tastes?
He means gay. He means men. That's what he's referring to.
The teeth are for men.
Yeah, in case anyone didn't get what's going on.
This is what we call subtext?
Yeah. I'm holding up loudspeaker to text. That's one of those moments though where it's subtle enough where you're like, you could, that's what I mean. I'm like, it could be, you could say that and not mean it subtextually, but it definitely sounds like, you think we might both be gay? A thing that is uncommon in normal world? As he said it, Owen flashed his sharp teeth. Smoked salmon?
Come on, Arthur. Ooh, I like to have friends. I know just the best place. Sorry, I got ahead of myself. I know just the place to get the best cuts too.
I think you do the same thing as me, where you kind of, your brain tries to intuit where the sentence is going for flow.
This is why we need
you kind of just go.
The dyslexic text, like that actually helps you like focus on the specific word as opposed to kind of thinking you know what the sentence is and then getting it wrong.
I have no idea if I have dyslexia or not. I went in asking about anxiety, ADHD, autism, and dyslexia, and they ignored dyslexia entirely. And then with autism, they were like,
"Oh, interesting.
I would have been able to tell," and then just dismissed that. And then they didn't want to deal with diagnosing me with ADHD, so they just sent me to therapy for anxiety for a year. I'm like, cool. Not my list of things, I said, but maybe we should try.
Did that help?
Maybe we should try it.
Yeah, let's give it a try.
Let's see if we can stop fucking up at reading. I know this font.
You use this font?
I don't know if I use it. I recognize it at least. I don't remember if this was red or not.
Oh, I don't think so. Take care, Arthur. See ya. So is he supposed to be like a gay? Like they said he had like a light tenor. Like, so I'm trying to figure out if they intended him to be a little like
flamboyant or not.
Swishy. Yeah.
I'd imagine not, just because speaking like stereotypically and stuff like that. He's wearing a plaid jacket and he has a golden belt buckle with a truck on it, which like aesthetically is setting up a different kind of like fucking woodsman man character.
Sure.
That feels more down low than
you can be Nelly
flamboyant.
And lumberjack though. You can be both.
You can mix. You can be any kind of person, but in fiction, characters are less likely to be complex in those ways because then it takes way more work to set them up. Owen turned again, testing the door for a moment before heading outside, chuckling. I sighed, finally being left alone. I felt drained for some reason. I could use some sleep. That Owen. Huh. Wonder what a guy like him was doing here. God, why did I ask him to come over tomorrow? Now I just speak with him for a bit tomorrow, nothing more. I didn't even catch my fish yet either. I folded my paws over my stomach and stared listlessly at the cracked ceiling, then at the pills on the counter. I sighed. I couldn't, not with someone expecting me. My eyes felt heavy. Never would have been this tired in my youth. Not this early in the day. That's not good. I think I picked up on something way more upsetting. I don't know if you noticed what I mean. I don't think those are his medication.
Well, yes, correct that. Yes. It sounds like he just said, I don't think I should perhaps do self-harm with pills while I have a guest coming.
Yeah, it sounded like specifically he says he can't take the pills when somebody's coming, and in particular he said when he was first thinking about Owen, was first thinking about Owen after he accidentally started making plans with him, he said, not like it'll matter tonight anyway. And I'm like, I think he came here to end things tonight. And now he's like encountered Owen, and that's like completely derailing everything. So he's at rock bottom, apparently.
Yeah.
My eyes felt heavy. Never would have been this tired in my youth, not this early in the day. Age was a bitch. Whatever. There wasn't much I could do anyway, without my clothes dry. I got myself as comfortable as I could and shut my eyes for the afternoon.
Hey, naps are good for any age. Don't not take a nap just because you're like young, you know?
Yeah. I've never been able to nap. I don't know how to do it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I once the day is happening, I just can't sleep anymore. That's it. I can literally be sleep deprived after not sleeping all night, and then I can lay down in the middle of the day and like black out the light and just try to go to sleep, and I'll just waste hours of time not sleeping or doing anything else. I pried a sprig of waterweed from my cuff and tossed it onto the lake. 4 hours and not a single bite yet. The bobber was as still as the lake's surface. I was beginning to wonder if Owen scared all the trout off yesterday. Back in the day, you could expect to snag a few fish within an hour. The lake trout were nothing like the monsters they were up north, but they were docile and easy to lure in. Sawmill was a public area, but it was rather out of the way, not exactly a tourist destination. I wouldn't expect to see more than a few bobbers in the water, even during peak season. It was nice. Nothing but yourself to keep company, and the breeze to whisper faintly in your ears. But now it felt empty, like I was on a small moon floating by its lonesome. There was no breeze to rustle the leaves or turn the water, nor birds calling to each other from across the expanse of trees. It was just hot, still, endless silence. And a thought flashed in my mind of how much I wanted someone to be sitting right by my side. Anyone, really. Not even to talk, but to alleviate this deep sense of isolation.
Mood.
It was dead. It was devoid. I sighed, staring blankly at the rod and the lifeless water sprawled before me. That spark still doused, as if submerged in the lake itself. What was keeping Owen? I caught myself peering around the forest's edge, hoping to spot him walking out of the tree line. Wasn't sure if I'd be much for conversation. I only really spoke with him for, 20 or so minutes yesterday? What was he doing out here anyways? It's quite a distance from the town, and all the lodgings shut down over a decade ago. Probably decided he had better things to do than come hang out with an old useless bear. Well, he said he was here most days, which now raises questions about where he's coming from. If there's no lodging or town nearby, unless there's just a surprise house this bear doesn't know about. Is he real?
That's what I'm wondering.
Is the sea lion real? Maybe it was a good thing. I just make things complicated later. At least I had fishing to occupy me. One was bound to bite sooner or later. Surely. Just then I heard that same bubbly voice from behind me.
Afternoon, Arthur.
I whipped around to spot the leopard seal trotting through the thin oak branches towards me, a tote bag slung around his shoulder. I gave him a slight wave of my paw. An understated reaction from somebody that was actively vibrating about meeting this person again. That's inside versus outside expression.
Right.
Owen returned the gesture and lumbered up to sit next to me, producing a few cans of packaged sardines and anchovies.
And for you.
Owen dug deep into the tote bag. Into the tote, pulling out a large disc covered with a bright towel. My nose twitched as the savory scent wafted towards me. Oh, is that... Owen plucked the towel away to reveal a charcuterie board. Marble rye, salmon, pickles, crackers, and cream cheese, too. Oh, he's charcuterie gay.
Yes.
My mouth watered as my eyes gaped at the feast. Can an eye gape? I guess that everything can gape.
Up, buddy.
Anyway. Whoa. All of this for me? I mean, I was planning on sharing, but...
Stuff lying around at home. Decided to get creative with it.
Wow. This is... too much. Thank you. I wasted no time in helping myself. Owen watched me for a sec, with a amused smile before digging into his own portions. The flavor was indescribable, which makes up my job easier. Never mind, here comes a satisfying umami profile with exciting hints of seasoning and sprinkled across tender, succulent flesh. Before realizing I had inhaled the entire plate.
Not how you eat. You have to chew. Yikes,
Yikes is the word you want people to say at you.
After you've eaten, yeah.
Oh, sorry.
There's appetite, I guess. Some nasty-looking chompers you got there, too.
I cracked a smile.
See him. Let's see the chomper. Wait, did he just brighten? Go back one.
Well, it's the it's been subtle, but it's been happening the whole game. It's whoever's currently talking is brighter than the other person.
Oh, okay.
It goes like that.
Oh yeah, that's
like
clever.
just subtle enough that I, at a glance, can't tell who's currently lit up. So when I was learning the names, I was a little like, wait, hang on, who's talking this time? And I was pausing a little bit. But yeah, it's been happening throughout. They're not that dangerous. Well, unless you're a salmon, then watch out. He laughed high and merry. It felt nice to see such open joy, especially given where we were. Say, Owen.
Yeah?
What are you doing here? Seems you're the only one around.
I'm a ranger, actually. This place is close by my usual patrols, so I come here every now and then.
Okay, we have lore. Got it.
Yes.
Otherwise, I was going to be like, "What do you mean? I'm right here. You looking for your wife?" Like it's just
Not your Mary.
Yes. I raised my eyebrows at him. A ranger, really? I figured with the way things are.
Hey, there's still plenty of work for rangers to do. Okay, just real quick though. Rangers do wear uniforms. So, you know.
Yeah.
I would expect them to have like a named.
He does have. He's got cargo
He does have
pants.
those little pockets.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. It is very rangery.
Yeah, he is suspiciously rangery. But he has also a suspiciously low neckline, which is probably not uniform.
The deep V.
Yeah. The gay need to have a shirt that just has a neckline so fucking huge that you can see cleavage on men. That's literally one of the first
Sickness.
changes I made to my own wardrobe, was looking for, when I came out, started looking for tank tops that actually cut low enough, which, when you're not wearing them, look very funny to hold, because you're like, this is a strange looking neckline. You get used to a very specific shape for tank tops, so you're like, this is, it's very deep.
I'm learning something now. I didn't even think about this, but yeah, like when I started becoming more comfortable with being gay, I went for V-necks more often.
Yep.
So there's something to this. I don't know what it is.
Yep. It's showy.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Sorry.
Oh, you're good. It's not like many people would want this kind of job in the middle of an ecological disaster. I can get why you'd be surprised.
I nodded, feeling awkward. I shouldn't have brought this up. I feel like an ecological disaster increases the need for park rangers on some level. Both because there's more danger to the wildlife to potentially be enforcing, but also like increased wildfires in places that could not get them before is more of a concern.
Absolutely.
We both fell silent for a moment before Owen spoke up again.
Honestly, you rarely see other people here. I was really surprised to see someone like you come up.
I was kind of fucking off and swimming in the middle of my day.
I was just eating all the fish in this lake.
Yeah. They're safe now. Yeah, well, I'm not gonna be here long, so you'll be back to having it to yourself. Owen threw his arms behind his head and sighed.
Don't know. I'm used to it. You start getting pretty lonely up here. And I'll be honest, this isn't doing so hot. Or rather, it's doing too hot. It's been receding further and further every year.
Thought something was off about the rocks here.
Yeah, back in the day, we'd be knee-deep in water. This is getting choked with invasive plants and, well, no one's coming anyways. Try to take a dip here every now and then to see how the trout are doing. Oh, he was surveying.
Yeah. He puts little bracelets on all the trout to count them. And Owen shrugged.
I don't know. I don't see him. I was hoping you might have caught one at this point, but...
I swallowed. A lump formed in my throat at the thought. It was a bizarre feeling. Bizarre I was feeling anything like this in the first place. Yeah, well, I'm pretty determined to catch something, although... Seems like everything's just getting worse and worse, you know?
So...
Can't even bear to look at the news or scroll the internet.
No!
I mean, just a month ago in the news, the last reef in the world was declared officially dead.
Oh, we are, like, super deep into climate disaster.
This is like the whole 3 whole months from now.
Yeah. Oh my god. Welcome to 2025.
God, I'm trying to remember. There was some kind of like extremely iconic animal that went extinct like last year or something, and I was like, what? That's not like an obscure one. That's like a fucking archetype. What do you mean? What do you mean it's extinct?
Oh no!
I can't remember what it is now. I mean, when staghorn went extinct in the wild back a decade ago, it was basically a foregone conclusion.
Staghorn?
Acropora cervicornis. One of the
Wow,
most
nice.
important...
Hold on. That was very well done. That was very, very well done. You just nailed that.
I'm a physical science major.
Are you really?
Mostly ready for this. Yeah, I'm a geologist.
Oh.
Well, see, it feels wrong to say I'm a geologist because I never worked as a geologist, but I have a bachelor's degree in geology.
Wow.
I like physical science stuff a lot, but
cool.
None of the jobs seem great. That's a life.
Right.
I don't know. I made it as far as working at the Water Quality Control Board for a year, and then my YouTube was making more money than that job, and I just kind of gave up on that career because I was already at the point of Googling like office space depression and finding out how the cubicle is a device that its creator was very excited about because he saw it as like the Swiss Army knife of desks and thought it was cool and geeky in that way, but then saw how the corporate response to that was to just pack people as densely as possible into gray boxes where they don't see each other, and efficiently use floor space to against employees essentially. And so he doesn't like it anymore.
His creation, he's like, this isn't it.
Yeah, no, he doesn't. The creator of cubicles doesn't even like cubicles anymore. And I was reading that in a cubicle while doubting all my life choices. So when I made more money on on Patreon than I was getting from my job that only years before I started it had been an internship,
right,
I was kind of ready to jump ship. So I never got any further into my science
so
major.
hard on this. Yeah, I mean, it sucks. Like, it really does. Like, we want to be able to work in the fields that, like, and to contribute to the fields that we were theoretically, trained for or good at, but it's really difficult to survive in that kind of environment.
Yeah. And the college system just isn't designed to, like, actually help you get any kind of career. It just...
No.
It's there to do the one thing, and then it's like, okay, well, now what do I do? And I spent a year and a half trying to get a job that I then spent a year in, and by the time, but then that year and a half made me spend so much time in my free time doing YouTube that I just became a YouTuber ultimately, because that's something I could just do myself. And now I'm here.
Yep.
Because like that year off would have been like 2013. I worked a job in like 2015, and I've been full-time at this for 8 years now.
That's impressive, honestly.
Not making great money, but no one is. So
you are, for lack of a better way of putting it, your own boss outside of like YouTube itself,
which is exactly what I didn't want to do.
Oh no!
My dad was self-employed, and I saw it ruining his life, so I did not want to be a self-employed person. But
oh goodness, what did he do?
But the immediate like experience of not being self-employed wasn't going great either at the time, so I took the leap.
Right.
But anyway,
okay.
Actually, I like these are fun to read out. Usually the animal names. One of the most important reef-building corals.
Staghorn was coral. Okay, I thought Staghorn was like a critter.
Owen nodded along.
I'm not much of a coral guy myself. Did my studies on arboreal ecology over yonder, in fact. You a marine biologist?
More of a marine enthusiast. Never did get to visit a coral reef, though. I sighed. And now I guess I never will. Just seems like every day we lose more and more of what makes this world wonderful. And there's nothing we can do about it. Too late now. Sitting and waiting, watching it all, sorry. I don't mean to be a downer. I wonder if he has regret built in with the fact that he was already catastrophizing about the things that he was losing while he had stuff. And now he's lost Robin.
Something you can do, yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. Because it's not just that he became obsessed with the things that the world is losing now. He was already expressing that stuff to Robin, which means that he already was struggling to embrace and enjoy the things that he has, which is part of what Robin was pointing at. And then he lost Robin.
That's the insidious thing about anxiety, is that you don't really... One, it can compound itself, right? And then, like, it can just... Yeah, basically, it can compound itself. That's the thing that sucks about it. But like, you can now feel anxious and guilty about not doing what he thought he should have in hindsight, I guess. No, I understand. Being in the field myself, it's brutal. I wanted to quit half the time.
You're right that it simultaneously it can ruin your immediate, like, real-time experiences while also then just feeling with regret over how you spent your time, essentially. And it's just it just adds, it snowballs.
I will say one of the things about that, since we're on the subject, is that like learning to forgive yourself for what you didn't know how to handle is something that if you find yourself in that position, you should practice, because you literally there's nothing to be done about past at this point. You know, all you can do is work on now and tomorrow. So don't beat yourself up too much if you're in that position mentally. While new exciting advancements in technology are enticing people more, the constant deluge of bleakness with regards to the environment, well,
I hate that we are reading better now.
oh, you're right. Yeah.
It did work. The color's fading bit by bit. It's getting worse and worse and what's the point? Owen cocked a brow.
What do you mean?
I mean, what's like, is it worth it? He didn't answer. Never mind.
Constantly hearing we're so fucked eventually nulls you to even the idea of it. Listless acceptance, I guess. Well, we are pretty fucked. God, we are screwed.
Then...
And what?
Why bother?
Well, you can feel many ways, Arthur. Even when you're faced with an awful reality.
He had that optimism that burned so brightly in Robin. Even in the face of it all the shit the world was eating, still living in the moment and looking sad. I guess I simply can't get myself into your kind of... Was that?
He said looking ahead.
Well, there it goes. Still living in the moment and looking ahead. I guess I simply can't get myself into your kind of headspace, Owen.
It's a bit of mental gymnastics, some wishful thinking with a nice garnish of delusion. But hey, I'm still here. Please are still here. Even your or your coral, they still got them in labs, don't they? All around us, there are people still passionate about keeping the beauty in this world alive. And I'll wake up tomorrow, good or bad. We'll wake up tomorrow. That I know.
I look at Owen, feeling almost as if I was seeing him for the first time. My heart beat at an odd cadence at hearing those familiar words.
Okay, you okay, Arthur?
Yeah, I was just thinking about what you said. Okay, he stopped shimmering. I thought that he was going to keep shimmering too. I was like, no. Owen flashed me a grin as he began gathering everything up and putting it back in the bag.
Wouldn't want to pollute, eh?
I chuckled. With that done, Owen said he needed to go back to his patrols, but not before saying that he'd come by again soon. It's interesting because, like, this particular jam has a little bit of reputation for having stories that are kind of despairing. And I wonder, especially since I looked at my own writing and and the influences that happen there, and I'm like, I wonder, like, some of it could just be that the most famous part of the series of jams is Before You Depart, which itself is a story about literally death, like the entity death. But also this jam started with a certain election happening a few days into it running, and that might have influenced the tone of some things. So there's a lot of like obviously I have my own story and its own things that happened there, and I literally just added phrases that kind of poke at that specifically. But here, like, we do have the a story here. We have a story about we're like passing a threshold and things only getting worse, and having to live with the cognitive dissonance of trying to be happy in a world that seems like it's only going to get worse, and that there might not be anything to do but to persist and to just try to hope despite everything. And I wonder if how much those kind of themes feel apparent because it's kind of on the mind, and how much it might have actually like tilted the writing of some of these stories, because that's just like it's just what's happening right now.
Absolutely,
it was quite a context to do a project in. Like, I was
right,
lucky. I was lucky that like 80% of my draft was done before the election happened, because my brain just kind of shut off for like 3 days. And then definitely when I revised it would affect that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. I think that I don't know if there's a phrase for this, but it's hard to keep the environment out if you're paying attention to it. And I think this story specifically is a really, really good thing to have exist, because it's dealing specifically with, I think, a feeling of like helplessness a lot of us feel with in relation to the world that is not giving us fucking leeway and you know, like settling down and giving us something to be sort of look forward to in general.
Yeah,
no, a great place for art, a great place for artists to like think about stuff, but it's a hard place to be if you don't have, I guess, maybe a support network or just like the ability to stop your brain from going crazy.
Yep, there's always layers to stuff. Like good art often is about other things, whether intended or not, and that's interesting to unpack usually. Like that, I was literally just watching a video about like the Lord of the Rings series, and they were kind of breaking into like, yeah, I know J.R.R. God, his name is yeah, Ronald Ruling Tolkien. Ronald McDonald
Jenkins?
Tolkien. Jenkins McTolkien, man. He has this famous quote about hating allegory, but he did write a story about like somebody who goes to war and then comes back changed and wounded and different, and never, like Frodo never is the same person again after the end of the story. And then he literally just like leaves to the Undying Lands, is never seen again, and that like it's called the Undying Lands, but it sounds like he just died. Like that's essentially like the subtext there. Like that's the feeling there. It's like this is a story about like as much as Tolkien would say it's not allegory, it's hard not to view the Lord of the Rings as about being about World War II and about PTSD and stuff, because that's what functionally does happen in it regardless. Like it informs, like you can't escape your cultural contexts. So like, and that gets into like the stuff about like how every zombie story feels like it's feeding off of some kind of like cultural insecurity and fear of its era, whether or not the writer's intentionally making it about that. It can't help but like touch into that. And like some of them are about climate change specifically, and some of them are about consumerism, and there's a very different flavor between like Night of the Living Dead or 28 Days Later and stuff like that. Or what's it, the World War Z was the one that was definitely about climate change. Like,
oh, absolutely. And I don't know if you've seen have you seen the preview for the new 28 movie, the new 28?
I have not
yet,
or
whatever. No. So I think based on what you've just said, you're going to find it very interesting, because it kind of feels like there might be a little bit of that Alex Garland sort of Civil War like stank on it.
I need to watch Civil War. I need to watch it so bad.
I don't know. I've actually, there's some really, really interesting media analysis videos of Civil War that after you've watched it, I'd be very curious to get your take on it, because I've heard it's kind of a confounding movie, and I like specifically, I think you would have an interesting time with it.
He's getting weirder. He's getting weirder and more controversial. Yeah, well,
he's definitely getting more controversial.
Yes, because its first movie was a kind of a crowd pleaser, like easy not easy, but like it was like a cerebral, easy to consume, very entertaining, like tight movie. In the case of Ex Machina,
Is that the robot one?
yeah,
Was that okay?
like Ex Machina was like universally enjoyed as far as I could tell, and everyone seemed to just love it. And it's a very tight, specific thing. Then got weirder with Annihilation, and kind of was more willing to be kind of boring and less crowd pleasing, but it was like it's like my favorite horror movie.
I was about to ask, like, hopefully you like it though. Like, it's for an adaptation of what it is. Like, it's pretty damn good.
Oh yeah, no, Annihilation is my favorite horror movie, and I liked it so much that's my first video essay.
Hell yeah!
And then Men is unhinged, and I don't know if
I really like it. I love how. I think it's really cool, and I do like that it makes people angry, because it is. If you get angry at Men, besides like maybe it being pretentious and unhinged in a filmmaking standpoint, then it's proven its point, kind of.
Yeah. I don't have a conclusive thought on Men entirely. I definitely should watch it more than once, but I loved watching it. Because it's
absolutely.
If I'm thinking about a movie 2 years later, then it was worth watching. And there's so many movies that I don't think about on the way out of the theater. So I need to watch Civil War just because I want to see all this guy's movies. I'm on board still. It's wild. Let's see. This is a scene transition. Did you want to break for lunch since we're kind of going for a while on this one? Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll come back.
I don't know
to
how much
this
is
in a
left.
little while.
I'm assuming that there's more to it. Enough.
We've been chatting up a bit, which will make for a great video that people will like, but it does mean that we should think logistically about it. The next few days were quiet. Every day, I sat on the pier, feet dangling over the edge as I waited and waited for a fish to take the bait. I was sure I'd catch one. I had to. Is he specifically... I'm worried that he's specifically insisting on catching a fish as a ritual, essentially, before he then, like, essentially kills himself.
Like, it's like what he kind of, like, feels like he needs to do
like
to
closure.
Feel like he... Yeah.
Which is, like, what a name, then, because the name of the game is End of the Line.
End of the line.
Like, you catch a fish on the end of the line, but he's also viewing himself as at the end of the line. And, like, that's...
And also, I mean, you could also see, like, the climate catastrophe as an expression of that as well.
Yeah. I started to find myself staring at the dark water, eager to see even a hint of movement, a small ripple, anything at all, even if they weren't biting. But the lake stayed quiet as ever. Owen's appearances were a distraction, but not an unwelcome one in the end. He'd pop out from between the trees, waving with a smile, and I'd wave back. We chatted some more about his work, about what it was like to live up here. I tried not to bring up the state of the world again. It was easier to ignore those thoughts while he was around. He didn't make an appearance every day. 3 days before I was supposed to leave the cabin, it rained a little. I didn't go fishing. Instead, I stared out at the lake from the cabin doorstep. Small ripples spread across the dark water, disturbing the perfect stillness that I had started to get used to. The soft pitter-patter of the droplets hitting the surface would have been pleasant if it wasn't a reminder of what should have been there instead. That's an effect to pull off.
That's cool.
It's funny because, like, it's Renpai, so, like, you're just kind of expecting so little that the smallest things are like, whoa! They did a water effect. Like, not just the rain, but also the ripples themselves. Like, that's neat. How I don't even know how. I guess you just overlay... I guess they're just multiple overlaying animations you just put on, and you just crop it to fit the background, essentially. And it's, like, layered images showing up, which, like, I could probably figure this out. It's not wild. But also, no one does it. No one does stuff like this usually.
No one puts the effort into playing with the engine to get that.
I'm noticing that a fun part about the jam sometimes is just the fact that, like, everyone's just enthusiastically doing a thing, and they're just kind of, like, volunteering to hop in and contribute a bunch of stuff. Whereas like, and it's in the context of being a short, like, quick project kind of thing. Whereas, like, in other projects, the thing that would happen is that, like, you're trying to do a big, long, sustained thing, so, like, you know, everybody has to you actually be compensated. And you have to think about this in terms of like a thing that people can do while putting in tons and tons of hours over the course of like months or years. So
Right.
that does lead to a lot more cuts on the scope of things, because you're like, well, under this is like whoever the project lead is probably doing it as a hobby and isn't making money off of it. So they're like, I'll save up for my job and maybe I'll get a CG next month. And that's kind of like the commission approach to things, because most people can't like fund a Spike Chunsoft visual novel, but they come closer than you'd ever expect.
It's good that you know are thinking about it in terms of like, you know, people's time being something that's worth money. Like, we all love to do this kind of stuff, but like, if you're gonna be spending that much time on it,
you talk about respecting people's time and thinking about it in terms of like compensation and stuff. Like, it's always good to keep that in mind. And like, from that perspective, like working on our visual novel, like I literally was like, oh, it'd be fun. Like Fwog was joining in to do art, and I was like, okay, well, that's cool. Yeah, sure. And they're like, yeah, I could probably only do like one a day or something. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. I was like, I probably figured only like one drawing per scene would make sense. Like, that'd be that'd be cool supplemental material. He's like, oh no. I'm sorry, I'm trying to remember what he said. Oh, what shocked me is he said, like, I think I can only do like 5 drawings. And I'm like, yeah, that's about what I was expecting, like 1 for each ending and stuff. Like, that seems like it would work. And he's like, oh no, I meant per day. And I'm like, what? what do you mean? I can't ask you to draw a fucking portfolio worth of art for this thing. And he just keeps going. And I'm like,
he just seems stoked on it.
Yeah, when he was working his ass off and doing crazy art, I'm like, well, now I'm like, I gotta make this project good enough to be worth his efforts here. So I reached out to you, but I was like, even with you, I was like, yeah, like, you got this big like music catalog, and it'd be fun to do a little 2 YouTubers collaboration, right? Like, maybe you could like help assist me.
You were like, point me towards stuff you've done that will work for this. And I'm like, oh no, honey.
Yeah, I was like, maybe you could assist me with your expertise at just like helping me score the game with work you've already made, and I could sense the disappointment immediately, where I'm like, oh, he wants to make the music.
yeah, absolutely, like,
which is cool, but too much to ask of anybody.
Yeah, I mean, but it worked. I know that there's a plan to do like a version 1.0 or whatever down the line, which I think is a great idea. But like, what was pulled off was kind of insane.
And it's an instinct that a lot of people share, which is healthy to have. Like, somebody's working on an animation right now based on something that I did, and I was like, oh, let me re-record these lines for you, please. Some of the stuff is a mess. And they're like, no, I can't pay you. And I'm like, no, just let me do it. Just let me fix it.
Right. Yeah.
You let the artist overinvest if they want to, but you can't like ask people to just do stuff for you. Which is exactly why, at some point, if I make another visual novel, there's a decent chance that I try to draw it, because anyone that's charging what they're worth is going to cost a lot if the visual novel's not making money.
Understood.
I read this one. It's a reference to the empty lake. It should have been snowing. I wonder if it would snow here this winter at all. Wouldn't have been surprised if it didn't. This soft, feeble rainfall could well be the most this place would be getting. And now those ripples were from living fish. Fuck. I found myself looking at the bottle of pills again.
Don't do it.
Shaking my head, I closed the door and plopped down on the couch. As I rubbed my eyes, I thought back to what Owen said. I wondered if the rain was what kept him away. I'd ask him about it next time. Did you get his phone number?
You had a friend?
The seal's voice jolted me out of the trance that had overtaken me while I sat in my usual spot. Hey, Owen. As the seal approached, I stood up and turned to him. Listen, I was thinking, would you like to visit me for dinner later tonight? Please, please, please.
Sure, why not?
I felt my heart tug hopefully. I hadn't felt like this in, God, how long? I needed this. A dinner in the cabin, just like old times. I smiled. A warmth spread through my chest as though an ember had sparked in its hollow.
Awesome.
"5 p.m. and a knock at the door. Owen had come with the fish lover's pizza and extra anchovies. Perfect.
Oh, yeah.
They love fish here.
Where should I set this?
Oh, right here is fine. I almost wonder if they're doing a world building thing where everyone just eats fish and veggies because they're all animal people or something. Like if that's the hierarchy.
Hard to tell. I mean, what's his name? The fish. Oh, she's the fish. The fox was also like, fish.
Yeah, and the charcuterie board was fish, which I've never seen before in a charcuterie board. It was just all fish, I think. I pointed to the pristine countertop behind me. The benefits of being unable to sleep was that I had plenty of hours to clean the place. Thank you so much for coming.
It's nothing. I had a little else to do today anyways.
Owen set his coat down and placed the pizza on the table.
You know, I've been wondering, is that the same shirt from your first day here?
Oh, I've been needing to get some laundry done.
Uh-huh.
Say, why don't I get a fire going? Then we can sit. The more upsetting background narrative is that he didn't pack clothes. Because he didn't plan on staying.
Very good point. Very good point. Yeah, I guess we brought that up earlier. Like, why did you do only one outfit while you were here? I wonder if that's going to come up between them.
Yeah. Because if you see him in the same clothes every day, it's like, I mean, I would never be able to reach that conclusion from an outside perspective with that little exposure, but watching him the whole time, you're like, did he bring no clothes because he didn't plan on having to change a single time? Like, this is brutal.
Yes. Yeah, I think that is 100% true.
Say, why don't I get a fire going? Then we can sit. It's also just a depression outfit of a sweater and sweatpants.
Sweatpants are working.
They're doing great. They're fantastic sweatpants. I love sweatpants for these reasons, but it's also a depression outfit.
They're also sad sweatpants.
Yeah.
It's a sad bulge in sad sweatpants.
You know. The hearth flame filled the cabin with a cozy warmth, the glow returning from some of the cabin's old rustic charm. For once, it felt as though I could be content to simply exist. Here, with someone beside me. Owen was eyeing the wooden door that we fixed together days ago.
Your story with this place, if you don't mind me asking.
It's not that interesting a story. Used to love coming here with my pa. Later on, I honeymooned here. Decided to rent the place out again for a bit.
Honeymoon, huh?
Not the most romantic spot, I'll admit, but I hadn't shown him this place, and it's a pretty romantic spot.
It's a very romantic spot.
Yeah, an isolated mountain cabin with a pier over a lake.
Oh.
Owen pointed towards the picture of the hearth. Yeah.
At him?
But his name was Robin.
Oh. Did you...
Just the name twisted a knife in my gut. My lips quivered and I can barely form the sentence. He was driving back one morning and never made it home. Owen's face sank.
I'm sorry.
It's been a few months now, and we used to come here all the time. Guess that's why I'm, here in the first place. Only a few months. Maybe to recapture some shred of what we lost. Make the world colorful again. I don't know. There was a long pause of silence between us as the fire roared on. I remember... God, I screamed so hard I couldn't speak for days. I laid on the floor, begging to die and be free from the misery. Thinking back to when I picked up that phone, that void in my chest when the voice I heard wasn't Robin. My eyes had begun to sting, and a tear trickled down. I sniveled, realizing just how much of a mess I was. Now everything's just not
colorful anymore? Flat?
I nodded. Owen looked at the photo again, his expression uncharacteristically somber.
That is not a red line.
Yeah, that's not supposed to be your line, is it? A couple of moments passed before we spoke. Whoops.
My father was a great man. He's the reason I even got into environmental science in the first place. He had such passion for the trees in our backyard. The way his eyes would light up whenever he showed me the beautiful leaves he had collected. He'd describe in detail all the wondrous changes happening to the organisms around us. He saw beauty in the mundane. I attribute everything, my passion, my love, my desire to continue to work for as long as my body allows me, to him. One day, he calls me by my uncle's name. I was concerned. Several months later, he couldn't even recognize me. I mean, by that point, he was so far gone, the man I once knew had died and been replaced by this frightened, frail creature. It was an agonizing wait until one day, I guess he just gave out. He died terrified and confused. When I realized he would never call my name again, everything went pale. So much of my life revolved around this man I looked up to. And then the world was empty, as if it had lost its glimmer. And in truth, even though I've regained it, I still feel as though the spark doesn't shine quite the way it used to.
But it came back, nonetheless. Owen shrugged.
It does. Sometimes. When I remember those dark times in the hospital, I can feel the flame flickering, but it comes back eventually. It's random, phases in and out. But when it phases in, I try my best to cling on to it as much as I can.
Well, is it phased in?
Say so. Hopes to have someone to talk about with. You know, a friend, maybe?
I give him the best smile I could muster. I'm happy to keep you company. You did say it can get lonely out here. Owen chuckled, rubbing the back of his head.
Yeah, I guess so. Seeing you on that pier was a nice surprise, even if you tore my shorts.
We both laughed. Another detailed maw. Extremely detailed tongue.
Where's the zoom in on maw button?
I'll find it. I'd expected to be all alone, too. Just a quiet week for fishing, and I looked away, not wanting to finish the thought. It seems stupid now. They're doing a very specific background thing, is you hear the clatter of pills whenever the thought of pills comes up, even if it's not.
I was wondering what that was.
Yeah. Because even when it's like, I thought I looked at the pills again or something like last scene, and I was like, did he shake them? It's like, why'd the scene set audio play? This time there's no reason he'd be touching the pills, but when he thinks about them, the sound plays again. So specifically reinforcing it over and over again as a almost like a mantra, or like just a looming threat.
Yeah.
What about the rest of your family? Do they live here in the north with you?
No. It's just my uncle and cousins now, but they live pretty far.
No significant other?
No. Can't imagine someone wanting to move up here or live with me.
Why not? It can be pretty cozy, like right now.
I suppose so, but it hasn't shaken out that way.
I see. Well, I'm enjoying our time here a lot, and if you wanted to... I gave him a wry smile. Owen looked confused for a moment before barking out a laugh.
Oh, Arthur.
What? Sorry. But Sorry if I'm coming on too fast,
No, it's not that. I'm flattered that you would even consider something like that. But I'm unfortunately not attracted to men, Arthur.
No!
Unfortunately is right.
How can you do this? It's Arturo all over again.
H. Can we get an H in the chat?
There's a long, awkward pause as I sit with this. I mean, of course I couldn't expect that. Why would I even assume such a thing? I'm sorry. I shouldn't have assumed that you were. I'm stupid. Sorry.
Arthur, it's fine, dude. Don't beat yourself up about it.
I know, just, it's...
You okay?
Yeah, yes, I looked away, trying to put up some walls again, stop the burning at the edge of my eyes. It wasn't much use, though. My walls were as flimsy as the cabins. He could see, I was certain.
Arthur, I'm sorry. I didn't know you read things like that.
No, you're not to blame, just... My breathing had become labored, threatening to crack. Why was I having this overreaction? It's because he had the same overall build-up here that we did. The idea that, like, he just... Another man would just sweep into his life and save him from the brink and, like, give him a whole new lease on life. And it's one of those things that can happen in real life where just, like, every single element seems like it'd be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
But only if this whole other human being just, like... is ready to just be in your life forever, essentially. Like,
right.
It's only perfect from the perspective of, like, you selectively choosing the parts to see about somebody and, like, fixating on what they can mean to you and not, like, the full
not what they are,
of who a person is. Yeah. And it's like, it could be crushing.
Yeah. Putting that kind of, like, weight on somebody where they are basically just sort of an abstract representation of something that you want, as opposed to, like, you know, the full three-dimensional them.
So this is it's a subversion of the wish fulfillment that this genre you'd expect this to have, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's my fault, actually, Owen. I mean, God, how long have we known each other? We're basically strangers still, aren't we?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we had maybe become closer than that.
No, I know that, just... My mind raced as I reached for excuses. Was I really so fucking lonely that I invented his signals? I don't know what to say. I didn't want to say something awful and push Owen even further away. I didn't want him to see me right now.
Just have some pizza.
Pizza?
Pizza will fix this.
I don't want to see me right now. His eyes were darting to and from the door, hands placed above his stomach in a telltale sign of discomfort. The fire had begun to dissipate with meek crackles as the charring logs crumbled beneath their own weight.
You think it's best if I maybe go? Not that I'm, well...
Owen rubbed the back of his head.
Maybe to leave you to yourself a bit. Clear the air. Sorry. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Leaving Arthur alone can go very badly, but also the idea that it's Owen's responsibility to, like, keep him going right now is also, like, its own distressing hole to go down.
Right.
I so desperately wanted to stop him, but I simply nodded with my gaze averted. Owen
Sure.
left awkwardly after gathering his things. His last words were a hushed good night.
Damn, that sucks.
I sat there in silence, paralyzed by shame and embarrassment. The burning need to cry had fizzled out. All that was left was the pit. Listless humiliation and shame roiled around like worms in my gut. Utterly embarrassing scene. I'd made a fool of myself. How long had it been, and yet I still couldn't keep control of my emotions. I cursed before throwing myself on the side of the sofa, trying to conjure what Robin would say to me. He would have given it to me straight, stared me directly in the eye and told me like it was. He would have said, "Arthur, you need to stop behaving so impulsively." Whenever something riled me up, something sent me on a spiral, he'd be sure to keep me from getting sucked further down into the maelstrom. And when he was finished, he'd be there still, but I needed him to say something. He had just the right words, and when I needed silence, he was content to linger in it with me. His tail wrapped around my neck like a scarf, his muzzle pecking at my fur tenderly. But here I was, alone. Robin wasn't here. I'd never feel his presence again. It would always be me, alone.
Can we take a quick... I know this is a serious moment, but I'm trying to figure out what position they would need to be in for Robin's tail to be wrapped around his neck like a scarf.
Well,
I don't even mean this in a sexual way. I'm just trying to figure out, like...
it feels like it'd be in a sexual way. When a man loves another man very much...
Sometimes he'll wrap his tail around his neck like a scarf.
Yep. It's only so long, so that means his ass is somewhere near his head.
Very correct, yes.
Yep. I laid there for hours until fatigue pulled me to sleep. The next day I woke, same position. Was it morning or afternoon? I couldn't tell. I paced the space of the cabin for hours, mortified to even step foot outside should Owen be there. Embarrassing, Arthur, just embarrassing. Novembarrassing. Every now and then I'd walk in front of the cabinet. I could do it. It'd be swift and easy. I was so tired, I just wanted to sleep. Just hibernate and be with Robin.
You're right, the pill sound is very, very obvious here.
Yep. No, I came here for something else. I wasn't looking for company. I just wanted to catch a fish. Then I'd go home, and it would be alright. So I wandered out to the lake. It was later in the afternoon by now. The shadows in the trees were growing longer and darker. And I sat there at the end of the pier, staring at the dark lake again, still as ever. Dead. It was all dead. I swallowed, feeling the lump in my throat. Why wouldn't anything bite? A desperate feeling overcame me. I needed the rod to budge, to find something at the end of the line. But there was no tug, no movement. Come on, bite. Bite, goddamn you! Without realizing what I was doing, I pulled my arm back and hurled the rod into the water. It hit the surface with a splash, then stayed there, floating, as the circles radiating from it grew smaller, weaker, before dying out entirely.
Whoa,
I whirled around, startled, only to see Owen standing at the other end of the dock, wide-eyed.
Hey, Arthur, you okay there?
Yeah. I just stood there, uncertain if Owen had seen my tantrum. Yeah, he saw it. The seal walked up to me, the wooden boards creaking under his boots. He looked down at the rod bobbing on the lake surface with a puzzled expression.
Hey, you doing better today?
No?
No.
We both looked at the rod. Been going through it. Sorry you had to see that.
I'll give you some space to, you know. Sorry, I didn't know what to say back then.
You didn't do anything wrong, I don't know. I guess I was delusional and thought you could maybe, you know. My eyes were stinging again, I clenched my fists, trying to hold back the tears. I couldn't do that again, not in front of him. I fell silent, and after a few moments, Owen simply nodded. He looked at the lake again.
You know, at first I was surprised that you kept coming out here every day, despite what I told you. I guess I thought you were just being stubborn or something. Maybe just enjoying the scenery.
No, I really wanted to catch something. Owen nodded, smiling.
Yeah, I could tell. I think it's cool that you kept trying.
But there's nothing down there. I felt the lump again.
Wait a second. He caught Owen.
And he didn't notice.
Owen.
Because he never appreciates the things he does get.
Come on, Bear.
I turned my face to the side and wiped it with my hand. I'm sorry, Owen.
No, it's okay.
No, it's not okay, because I keep doing this. I keep having these fucking delusions, thoughts of... So many words and thoughts whirled in my head, yet all that came out were half-baked stutters. I just feel as though there's nothing I can do anymore that matters. Like, everything I try to fix it is just ineffective. This void, this hole in my heart. The tears had begun to flow. My world died when he did. No matter how much I try, it just eats away at me. It doesn't get better. I don't want to... I clenched my teeth. Do this anymore.
Do this?
I don't want to be awake anymore. Why? What's the point? I mean, look at this place. Nothing's biting, no birds are chirping. Hell, there's barely even any snow on the mountains anymore. Everything is worse now, and there's no way to reverse it. This is what we have now. And now with Robin gone, I have no one to cling to. I tried so hard, Owen. I tried therapy, medication, socializing, but it never worked. I never could get over it. God, I don't fucking know anymore. As I ranted, I left the pier, wanting nothing to do with that bleached out lake anymore. I threw myself down in the grass, next to the skeleton of a tree. I'm just so tired. I'm so fucking tired. Why can't I just sleep? Is that too much to ask, if nothing ever bites? I looked up at Owen, still standing on the dock. I feel the fur on my cheeks slick from tears that finally had fallen. I expected him to look uncomfortable or just decide to leave. He stared at me head on, eyes wide but tender, the last bit of sunlight reflecting off them.
It's all right. Just let it all out. It's okay, Arthur. It's okay.
He approached me slowly but determined. I hiccuped out a cough as he came to stop near me. I made a real scene, didn't I?
Yeah, but hey, we all do sometimes. You haven't really told me about Robin. If you're fine with it, I'd like to know more about him. It's something that makes that emptiness vanish for a moment. Like when I told you about my father, it wasn't painful like it usually was. I was happy to share him with someone. Is that something you'd be okay with doing, Arthur?
I took a shuddering breath. Something about Robin? I hesitated for a second. Kind of a stupid story. Stumbled into him while I was volunteering at an aquarium down on the west coast, entirely by chance. Traffic made him miss the last of the shark feedings, and man, he really looked disappointed, so I got him a free show the next day. Not entirely what I was supposed to do, but, I just wanted to make sure he could get the most out of the experience. He was an accountant at some big company. Never really enjoyed talking much about it. The pay was good, and allowed him to do what he loved, which was seeing, as he put it, cool fish and shit.
Oh, yeah.
Look at some cool fish today. I chuckled, remembering how bluntly he'd put it. It had always been something he enjoyed. I pulled my knees up towards my chest and hugged them as I still sat in the grass. And we just continued from there. He was so damn smart, but he never made me feel demeaned or lesser in any regard. He was blunt, and if you fucked up, he'd tell you to you straight. But he was kind and cared deeply.
He was a fox, so I'm pretty sure he told it to you gay, but that's...
I was diagnosed with Asperger's pretty late in my life. I mean, I sort of knew it before then, but getting it officially on record was not something I had even considered. He pushed me to do that. He pushed me to make sure I was taking care of myself. You're not helpless when you're on the spectrum, but damn, does it ever make it easier if there's someone who just gets you, who understands you and lets you just be you around them. I sighed softly. He was my miracle. I never could have asked for someone better to spend those years with. My eyes had begun to grow misty again, but Owen extended a hand to point next to me. I looked at him, hesitating for a moment before I nodded, and he took the spot, close but not touching.
Sounds wonderful, Arthur. I wish I could have met him myself. It's clear from what you told me that you loved Robin very much, and I'm sure he loved you as well in equal measure.
It just hurts so much. I can't ever find someone to fill that void he left.
You don't need to. You shouldn't, in fact. You'll never find someone like Robin. But that's not the point. Robin was his own person, and he'll remain as such even when he's gone. And when you're ready, Arthur, there'll be other people out there that are unlike anybody else. I really have been happy to have made a friend these past days.
Sniffling, I nodded at the seal. Yes, I can say the same. With a smile, he tilted his head to the side.
Want to sit a while longer?
Sure. The sun had hidden behind the mountains by now, darkness falling over the lake. Owen pulled up his knees, too, mirroring me as we both sat and stared out in silence. Ooh, the transition.
Yeah.
It's just slowly fading dark. He turned his head eventually, catching me staring at the water.
Have you ever had a burn more? Wait, I'm sorry. What does that say?
Burn moral?
Have you ever had a burn moral?
Trying to remember. I feel like morals are mushrooms?
Yeah.
I blinked, then shook my head, surprised at the sudden question.
I grew up in Colorado. My uncle used to have this cabin in the middle of a beautiful pine forest. I used to go there a lot during vacations. There was a wildfire when I was 12, I think. Typical stuff, destroyed the whole area. So sad after it happened. No more weeks spent playing with my cousins out in the forest. I begged my uncle to rebuild his cabin, but there was no point with everything around it burnt down. Then, one day, my dad took me up there. It was a couple years after the wildfire. Took me through the forest and told me about these really rare mushrooms, burn morels. They only grow in the wake of a forest fire. So we went foraging and we found some. Dad cooked them for us and it was so damn good. I remember us sitting around the campfire. He was watching me eat the mushroom and he asked me if I still felt sad about the cabin. Obviously I was. He said that was fine. He was sad too. There was still something cool and rare and delicious to be found even after the destruction, wasn't there?
I nodded, surprised to realize I was smiling at him. He smiled back, then looked up and gave a soft whistle.
I'll be.
Did a fish jump? Oh, no.
No. Oh, that's beautiful.
Damn.
Nicely done.
Look at that.
Is that like a video layer behind a PNG? Like, that's really cool.
Yeah, I imagine that they rendered like they set up the Aurora to look like that, and they probably made a CG that just has a transparent area instead of a sky, and put that over it.
That's great.
This is really interesting. There's a lot of really interesting use of like mixed media and approaches here.
Mm-hmm.
This might be done by the characters might be drawn by the same person that was doing the backgrounds already. I gotta see what the team is because it's not listed. I think it was listed on the store page, but it's not listed. There's not. I didn't see like an about page to list the team on the title screen.
Right.
A lot of really talented people working on this. A dazzling light had started dancing on the dark surface, reflecting the brilliance that were lighting up the sky above. I started, mesmerized. Not my first time seeing the aurora, but for some reason, right now, from where we were sitting together, it was truly heartbreaking.
I'm sorry you didn't get to snag a fish. But this is still our lake, Arthur. Glad I could spend these past few days with a friend on it.
Owen wore a soft smile.
I'll be here tonight. I'll be here tomorrow. I'll be here as long as you're renting the place out. I'll be here if you decide to come again, even if there's no fishing to be done. Don't go at it alone, pal. I can't be a partner to you, but that doesn't mean I won't sit by you whenever you need. I still think that's special in itself, right?
He winked.
Okay, brother, you can't like wink and do all these cute little things and be surprised when the bear thinks that you're gay. Come on.
Listen, straight people have gay blindness. As much as it feels like an arms race for straight people, it feels like they're like suspecting people of being gay left and right. They also have zero ability to detect anything gay, ever, whatsoever, in any media, in real life. Like, so the signals are never there. Just a completely incompatible way of thinking about the world. This is beautiful.
This is really, really, yeah, this is super beautiful. Music's a great choice too.
I had no words, but my heart felt easy somehow. Owen was right. He was a great guy, and I really hoped we could build this into a long friendship, one that would last years. And though the spark wasn't quite what it once was, it was still there. It'd flicker in and out, but maybe tomorrow, I'd die down again. But like what Robin said, I'd wake up tomorrow. And I'd wake up the day after that one. And the one after that. And the day after that. The end.
Bravo. That was actually really, really well done.
There's everybody. Yeah, that was a fantastic storyline. That was crazy. Oh. None of these are the creators. These are all the plugins and things. It took me one to register. That's not a single person that worked on the game there. Oh, look at that.
Aww. Click each one for credits. Oh, this is cute.
That's a wild screen, actually. Oh, Camazul, sprite artist and musician. Ven. CG of Arthur and Robber cabin interior backgrounds.
Okay.
So that's the interior one. Exterior backgrounds of the lake and the aurora and everything. They did great, yeah. Everyone put a lot of
I wasn't sure where that was coming from.
Wasn't sure what?
Yeah. Hugh. Whose name?
Yeah, Hugh. Hugh. Cetus, main and lead writer, storyboarding.
Nice job, Cetus.
I literally just came back from rooming with Cetus at MFF.
Oh, that's funny.
Like 2 days ago. So that was the same writer as Before You Depart. Grunt Steel, project lead, UI programming, small things.
Small things.
So director. This is so many fucking people. There's no 10 people on this team. Tengo, resident intern coffee bringer, credits, screen art, this art. Oh, they did this art. Bastion.
Oh, they have their blue sky image too. That's cool. I was just took me a second to realize why it said blue sky at the corner.
I wonder if you click on them, it then gives you the ability to click on their separate. I'm not gonna click on anyone's blue sky right now because I don't know what the first image that might pop up on my screen will be.
It's inherently risky click.
Bastion, writing team group leader, editor. Jamie Durg, programming, shaders, credits screen, and script things. Rothschild, editing, writing, storyboarding, sound effects coursing, and then Glitch, QA, HR, and Sanity Keeper.
Damn.
This is a pop-up company right here.
Yeah, it's for real. Is there this LLC for this?
Furries just get shit done sometimes. That's crazy.
Everyone should feel proud. That was a really good story.
Everyone worked their ass off.
Touched on a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Fantastic project. That's a high bar to set. Damn. All right, so if you got this far, you can check out the other November submissions by looking up November on itch.io. There's probably a link in the description to the overall thing, but there's like...
Better be.
I think there's like almost 40 projects submitted to this thing, and one of them was us, and one of them was this, and there's still so many more. We're not going to have time to cover all of them because that would be quite the undertaking, but we're going to cover some more of them, so definitely check it out. See you guys next time, and you can find Red Means recording also on YouTube, where he does a bunch of videos about music, and how would you put it exactly? It's damn it.
Yeah, sure. That's good enough.
My vocabulary failed immediately, and I almost said mixers, which is not quite the right way of putting. What are those boards called? I'm blanking.
Synthesizers?
Synthesizers. There we go. Like a lot of videos about synthesizers and music history and the guts of how the stuff is made. Very technical work.
With occasional furry shit posts.
Just mixed in furry jokes and stuff that's like incomprehensible to some of that audience, but penetrates because so many people have seen that video about the legs.
Oh, the main wolf video, yes.
Yeah, the main wolf video. And he also has
I do want to say that
a sound library on itch.io that's under Creative Commons for use in projects like these.
Oh yeah. I'll be keeping that up hopefully too. There's probably a link in the video description for that. I wanted to say that I think wasn't the sort of like tagline for the one that you wrote like, you know, what do you do at...
I didn't want to even hint that much, so I just said, what are you doing with your time on Earth? And then I went on to write almost no synopsis or preview because I was like, what do I write about this thing without just giving away stuff that that's technically reveals?
Okay, well, cut that part out of the edit. Then I don't want to, but I was gonna say like this VN, you know, kind of feels like it, you know, asked that same question, like, what do you do at the end of
Yeah.
the world that you personally felt that you had when that ends, and also, you know, when the world itself is ending. Tough.
It's
They did a good job.
It's a much more hopeful line to end on. It's interesting. I'm so jealous of the story.
It's all good.
But yeah, all right, everybody. See you next time.
Bye.